so just so you guys know that when you go to draw something, if your paper is like this, that is called, that's portrait, and then if it's the other way, like this, does anybody know what that's called? Nice. I'm okay with however you want to do this. The only requirement that I'm going to have, and then we're going to talk a little bit about a north arrow. So basically you've got a compass type thing, and then draw that in the bottom right hand corner, your compass, and then this is, you know what that stands for? Great. Okay, so I want you to draw down in the bottom right hand corner. Okay, when drawing maps, this isn't usually how you would write, but you use all capital letters. It's easier to read. Cartography. It's map making. It's creating maps. Maps, like something like this, is, ooh, that's kind of a fantasy map. They're not all fantasy maps. Look at the map of Montana in the back. Okay? It's a really detailed, cool map. There's a map of the United States, there's world maps, but today what we're going to get going on is I want everybody to draw a map. And so you guys can do one of two things. You guys can draw an island or a series of islands, or you can draw more of a continent where this is land and this is ocean or sea. And then this would be water type thing. But I want you to have a mix of land and water. So you can do something like this or something like this. I want you to make all kinds of little cool wiggly lines. I mean, you can make them look like, I mean, you can make it look like, you know, and then maybe this piece of right here, this part of the land might be called the arm. You know, and then this would be port of gold or whatever. I mean, so you can do anything you want. So you can create bays, you can create all kinds of weird things. You can draw like an island, whatever. Okay. What other famous piece of land looks like a shoe? What country?
Mexico?
No, not Mexico.
Oh, the Gulf of Mexico.
I'm thinking it's somewhere in Europe.
Italy.
Italy. It has kind of a shape that's like, it kind of goes like this and it kind of comes up like that. And it looks like a boot. So go ahead and draw your coasts. So everybody get going on that. But one of the things that I'm going to ask you to do, if just for any of your maps, I want you to put a border around it. So draw like a line type thing. Okay. So if you want to use the full piece, just draw a line like this, you know, or you can do just a half. But don't go any smaller than half. And the cool thing with pencil is you can also, instead of, when your pencil starts to wear down, keep it a little bit on the dull side, and you can kind of color along the edge of it, and then you can take your finger and you can kind of rub it. And so you can kind of blur your pencil and kind of make a nice, cool, thick line. And you guys can blend it into the land or into the water depending on what you want. So you'll see like a tail, and then you'll see like a serpent coming out of the water, and then it. You know, and I'm not a very good artist when it comes to drawing monsters or whatever.
That looks like sea.
You know, but do you know why they used to draw stuff like that in the waters?
I believe that was where the serpents lived.
Right. So the thing that's cool about maps is they have a sense of mystery to them, because oftentimes when they drew maps and they drew the great big seas, they didn't know where the edge of the world was. There was a long time when they figured the world was flat, and that if they went out too far, you would fall off the edge of the world. For your water, you guys can do one of two things for your coast. You can either do little squiggly lines and kind of break them up, which would kind of indicate like waves, and then this would be a finer line, or you can do little squiggly lines that kind of come out. Okay? So you can kind of, so the water is going to have the squiggly line on the water side. You know, the cool thing about doing maps and drawing is there's no mistakes. I mean, if you wanted just to be, you know, really pointy, you could totally do that. Or if you wanted to just do, you know, round ones. The round ones would probably be more like a hill, and the ones that are steeper would be more like mountains. But you can draw anything, any style you want. Pick one side of your mountains to start to give a little, to shade them. Okay? So by doing this, you're creating kind of a shadow, like you said, of the mountain. So you would think of it as the sun was on this side, and this side of the mountains are lit up. The other side is shaded. Okay? I want you guys to think about is drawing rivers, and rivers with fingers that go up into the mountain. So let's say a river does this. There's like a finger that comes here, maybe the one that comes up like this, and then maybe you're like, oh, I'm going to draw some more mountains around, you know, and then you could draw more rivers, you know, and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna draw a couple more mountains around, because if you think about it, the place where you get water are for mountains. The Yellowstone River comes from Yellowstone Lake. It goes into the Missouri, which goes into the Mississippi, which goes into, right, which is so cool. I mean, and that is one long river, okay? That's why you've got your rivers going up into your mountains. Does that make sense? So draw some rivers. Try drawing in, you know, a lake. 15 minutes. Talk to me.
Can we have like a volcano?
Oh, totally. Volcanoes are awesome. Volcanoes are awesome. That's a great idea. Also, to kind of emphasize that there's more of a lip, you may end up doing something and you may end up doing some like lines that come down to kind of give it kind of a again, one of those three-dimensional type looks, so that it looks like the water's not going to just pour off the other side of it. Does that make sense?
Can we have lava coming out of the volcano?
I mean, lava pouring off or lava shooting out is always a good idea. I mean, let me ask you this. Who growing up has not played the hot lava game? You've never played it?
What is it? Yes, I have.
Okay, the hot lava game is basically where you're, now, I'm not saying that you should do this, but you're standing on furniture in the house, and you throw pillows on the ground, and you have to jump from, but if you touch the ground, it's gonna burn you up, right?
Oh yeah, I played that.
You've never played that?
I never heard that.
So, the hot lava game is totally one of my favorite things to still do at my age.
Next, really amazing. Have you walked around to see some of them?
I'm gonna do that here in a second.
They're really great.
So with the forests, you're gonna do little teeny squiggly lines, and then kind of break it up, And then if you got your rivers, you don't do the squiggly lines over the rivers because you want your rivers to still pop, okay? And then you just do these squiggly lines like this, and then you just kind of draw more squiggly lines inside there. And some of the squiggly lines can just be dots. So there's different types of forest. This would be more of like a conifer or evergreen forest. And this would be a deciduous forest. So we do have deciduous trees. One of the things that you'll notice, the riverways, a fancy word for that is riparian. A riparian corridor. Let me write that up there.
They should know.
Do you guys know riparian?
They should. This is the land around the river.
Riparian. So a riparian corridor, basically, so let's say it's wet on this side, but on this side of the mountains it's drier, and then let's say you do have, you know, maybe like this lake right here, you got a river that feeds it type thing. You're not going to find big forests over here, but you will find forests along, along the edge of riverway. Drew forests like this on a map like this. All of a sudden your trees are as big as your hills. So that's why I'm just drawing the squiggly lines. I have seen people where they'll do a forest like this and they kind of do it like this type thing. It's got the squiggly lines, and then what they do on the bottom is they'll put little legs to indicate that those are tree trunks, and have something you can have something look like that. Scale of this size, it's gonna look more cartoony. And like I said, when you're drawing something, cartoony is not bad. It's just a different style. Okay? Talk to me.
What about deserts?
Okay. If you want to draw deserts, something that you can look at that kind of gives a desert look, it's going to be a mountain style. Okay? When you go to draw your mountains in, they're going to be similar to these. They're going to come up and they're going to have a square top. And then again, you would shade the half of it. And that kind of gives it kind of a southwest look or feel. Okay? Where is going to be a good location for you to actually have cities?
In an area where there's lots of greenery and water.
Correct. So you're going to have a city, you're going to put a city would be like right there. Or right there type thing. You're going to want to be next to a river because it's fresh water. Even a city out here, if it didn't have fresh water, would not be a viable city. It wouldn't be able to support itself. So you're going to want something that's going to be here, that's going to be next to woods, it's going to be next to water. And if you look historically at the location of cities throughout the world, I'm not going to say all, but the vast majority are next to rivers.
Holy cow. These kids were amazing. And look at the detail that they put into these maps that they drew. And the names are incredible. I mean, just look at these. If you want to ever draw a map and come up with some good ideas, go find a 5th grader and just go through the similar process that I did with them, and the names that they're going to come up with and the detail is just going to blow you away. Thank you so much for your time and watching this video. Thanks.